It wasn't until the big screen displayed childhood photos of his ex-wife that the CEO realized the woman he had abandoned was the little girl who had saved him all those years ago. Meanwhile, the cunning woman by his side was nothing but an imposter. Deceived and furious, the CEO ordered his subordinates to take them away and deal with them appropriately. In truth, his ex-wife had long since discovered that the little boy she had saved was actually the CEO. Even when she presented the matching jade pendants from their childhood, the foolish CEO, swayed by the manipulative woman, believed that she was his true love. He not only openly brought her home but also demanded his wife to conceal their marriage in front of the devious woman to maintain his perfect image. Unbeknownst to him, the scheming woman had always been jealous of what other women had. She even went so far as to ask the CEO to make his blind wife her personal maid. Driven by years of regret, the CEO, oblivious to his wife's pregnancy, readily agreed. The cunning woman was merciless, making the blind woman work 20-hour shifts and deliberately spilling fruit trays, forcing her to pick up the leftovers. Finally, the woman decided she could no longer tolerate this treatment. She gathered the fruit peels in her hands, pretended to trip, and threw them onto the scheming woman's face, even rubbing them in for good measure. The manipulative woman stood up, seething with rage.
陆欣欣，你疯了吧？
怎么了，叶小姐？刚发生什么？我是不是撞到一头猪？
猪？你骂谁呢？臭瞎子，你撞到我身上了！
怎么会这样呢？不好意思，叶小姐。之前盛家养了一只小宠物猪，它经常跑到屋子里乱转，我还以为它又跑进来了呢。
The scheming woman yelled in anger. It was decided that a lesson was to be taught to the woman. So he took off his clothes and threw them at the woman. She had to wash it by hand. She was also ordered not to wash in hot water. Gloves are not allowed. If she can't wash it, she won't be allowed to eat. Wait for the scheming girl to leave. And the woman became angry. I'd rather skip a meal than take revenge. Decisively picked up the toilet detergent on the ground and poured it on his clothes. Then I picked up the toilet brush and brushed it all over my clothes. Wait for the scheming woman to find that one of her most expensive clothes has been washed. Was so angry that he blew up directly on the spot. Take out the whip and teach the woman a lesson.
李小姐，你别打我！陆欣欣，陆欣欣，我要杀了你！让开！你这贱瞎子，居然还敢反抗！把他给我安住！我要打得他服软！站在这看什么？看戏呢！快把他们给我抓住！放开我！
The cunning woman, enraged, began to whip the other woman. One of the onlookers couldn't bear it any longer and stepped in to shield her. Not wanting to involve others in her predicament, the woman whispered into the cunning woman's ear, revealing that she was actually the personal maid of the CEO. The cunning woman, humiliated and furious, slapped the woman hard and decided to confront the CEO directly. This revelation spared the woman from further punishment. Meanwhile, the CEO received a call from the cunning woman, who immediately demanded an explanation. The CEO, suddenly feeling anxious, feared that the woman might reveal everything to the cunning woman, thus exposing his married status and causing him to lose her. Frantically, he told the cunning woman to wait and hurried home. Upon arriving, the CEO quickly inquired about the situation. Seeing him, the cunning woman began to feign vulnerability.
真直，你怎么能这么做？陆欣欣，他说，这话怎么让我说得出口吗？
怎么哭成这个样子？他到底说什么了？
他说他是你的头。
啊？他还有跟你说其他别的什么？
没了。难道他说的是真的？
怎么可能？你别听信一个瞎牛说的话，他向来就是胡言乱语的。盛家把他招进来，也是看他可怜。
不仅如此，他还把我的衣服给我洗坏了。你看，
他欺负你的，我会找他算账的。别哭了，哭累了我会心疼。
陆欣欣，等着被赶出去吧。
The woman looked at her bruised and battered body, cursing the cunning woman in her mind. In truth, her vision had returned after she hit her head at the banquet. She had planned to share the good news with the CEO, but to her dismay, he had already brought the cunning woman home. Now, all she wanted was to leave, making room for the deceitful man and the cunning woman. As she tended to her wounds, the CEO stormed in, ready to reprimand her. But she cut him off, explaining that if she hadn't said what she did, their child wouldn't have survived. She told him how the cunning woman had mistreated her. The CEO saw the bruises on her hands but still believed the cunning woman was too kind to do such a thing. He was convinced that the woman was staging the scene to gain sympathy and declared he wouldn't believe her. Hearing this, the woman erupted in anger, demanding that he fire her as a maid so she could leave this dreadful place. She pointed out that she was supposedly blind and still had to wash clothes for the cunning woman, a task made even more difficult by her condition. This made the CEO feel a pang of sympathy, yet he still couldn't believe that his long-lost love of 15 years could be so malicious. He approached her to help treat her wounds, feeling a strange familiarity. She reminded him of the girl who had saved him years ago. However, the distinctive woody musk scent he associated with his long-lost love clung to the cunning woman. Little did he know the perfume was one the woman had accidentally given to the cunning woman. Just as he was tending to her, the cunning woman walked in and demanded to know what was happening. The woman quickly explained that the CEO was only helping her apply medicine because of her supposed blindness. To avoid any further misunderstanding, the CEO decided to leave. In his haste, he accidentally knocked over a bottle of antiseptic. The woman instinctively caught it with swift, sure movements, momentarily forgetting her pretense of blindness. The CEO immediately noticed and demanded an explanation. The woman, realizing her mistake, hesitated for a moment before confessing. My vision returned after the banquet incident, but I didn't know how to tell you. I wanted to share the good news, but then I found out you had already brought her home. The CEO was taken aback, his mind racing. He looked into her eyes, searching for the truth. Why didn't you tell me sooner? He asked, his voice a mix of confusion and frustration. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her emotions. Because I thought you had already made up your mind about me. I didn't think you'd believe anything I said. And now, seeing what she's done to me, I knew you wouldn't trust me. The CEO's gaze shifted between the woman and the cunning woman, who was now glaring at them both. Doubt began to creep into his mind. Had he been wrong all this time? The pieces of the puzzle started to come together, and he realized that the woman in front of him, the one he had hurt and neglected, might have been telling the truth all along. The cunning woman, sensing the shift in his demeanor, tried to intervene. She's lying. She's trying to manipulate you. Don't let her fool you. But the CEO's resolve was wavering. He needed to know the truth. He turned to the woman and said, "Tell me everything. I want to hear your side of the story." With a mixture of relief and determination, the woman began to recount her experiences, the hardships she had endured, and the love she still harbored despite everything. As she spoke, the CEO listened intently, realizing how blind he had been, not just to her physical condition but to the true nature of the woman he had trusted. By the time she finished, the CEO's eyes were filled with regret. He turned to the cunning woman, his voice cold and resolute. "Leave. Now." The cunning woman, realizing her game was up, tried to protest, but the CEO's steely glare silenced her. She left in a fury, knowing her charade had finally been exposed. The CEO turned back to the woman, his heart heavy with guilt. "I'm so sorry for everything. I promise I'll make it up to you." The woman looked at him, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "I just want to be treated with respect and kindness. Is that too much to ask?" He shook his head, his voice softening. "No, it's not. And I will do everything in my power to make sure you get that." With that, the first step toward healing began, as they both realized that love, though battered and bruised, still had a chance to flourish.
你
好你个陆欣欣，明明看得见，今天这一说都是你故意整我的。
都给我放手！陆欣欣，你是装瞎的。
一开始的确是真瞎，后来恢复了，我就没找到机会跟你说。
什么没找到机会？是是，我看他就是故意装瞎，博取你的同情。 沈池，这个女人太无法无天了，难不成你就这么放过她吗？
衣服我会让她从工资里边赔给你的。
只是这样，她不仅装下我情，不会跟她真有什么说不清的关系吧？
一个佣人而已，随你处置，只要别太过分了就行。
眼睛瞎了没看到吗？多铺2层，准备好了就让这小贱人走。今天这个天气真挺适合看戏的哈。记住，让他必须光着脚来回走99遍，1遍也不能少。
是。
陆星星，你不是很能耐吗？今天我非要你折上半条命不可。
在和谁说话呢？
没呢，我是想说，今天你才去了公司一会儿，人家就可想你了。
音乐，你还记得这条月牙项链吗？
记得，当然记得，15年前送给你的嘛。
对，
还好猜对了。
那他的另一半呢？还在你那儿吗？
这项链还有另一半，这么多年过去了，我也不知道找不找得到。
音乐，他会不会根本不是当初那个小女孩？
我会回家好好找，找到了带出来给你看。
好。的确是这股独特的木质麝香，这股味道，除了隐约，我从来没在其他人身上闻到过。看来，的确是我脱队了。
我真傻，我居然以为生池就算不可怜我，也会可怜我们的孩子。
小花，快去请郑医生过来。
是。真是，我只是让佣人稍微惩戒一下他，也不知道底下人是怎么办事的，居然弄成这样。
雨月，你自己先回卧室。
沈池，我
就是太过劳累，多睡会儿就行。
劳累？
我一个瞎子，今天又是给你的小女友摘水果、按摩、打扫、洗衣服。
还有什么注意事项吗？
邵总，非要说注意事项，就是
怕什么？有什么说什么。
这怀孕前3个月还是很危险的，况且让一个孕妇光着脚走在冰面上，孩子能保住一声万幸，不代表下次没事儿，还请您多注意吧。
知道了，你先下去吧。
还以为给盛总提意见会被扔到河里喂鱼呢，没想到他居然都没有生气。
小芳，好好照顾她，不要说我来过。
是。
盛池，现在就剩下我们2个人了。
你怎么进来了？
人家想你了吗？难道你不想我吗？
宁宇，我现在在忙工作，等我工作忙完了再来找你。
盛池越发对我若即若离的，难不成他知道我故意欺负陆星星？盛池，是不是我让陆星星那个女佣搬走，让你觉得不方便了？她平时都为你做什么呀？她能做的，我也能替你做。
你别多想，你是未来的盛夫人，不需要做那些女佣做的活。
盛池，盛池，
奶奶的电话，我先接了再找你。
这该死的老太婆！